In the suffocating gloom of the city, where skyscrapers clawed at a perpetually overcast sky, Clara existed in a state of quiet solitude. Her small apartment, perched high above the labyrinthine streets, had once been a sanctuary, but now it felt like a cage. A persistent, unnerving feeling had taken root in the back of her mind, a chilling certainty that she was not alone. Every night, as she drifted into the uneasy realm of sleep, the sensation intensified. There was a tangible presence, a weight in the air that made the hairs on her arms stand on end. She would wake with a start, her heart hammering against her ribs, the feeling of being watched lingering like a phantom touch on her skin. The silence of her apartment would scream back at her, amplifying the shadows that danced in the corners of her vision. She started leaving lights on, playing music through the night, anything to fill the oppressive void. But the feeling remained, a silent, unseen companion in her most vulnerable moments. Driven by a mixture of fear and a desperate need for validation, Clara decided to install a small security camera in her bedroom, positioning it on a bookshelf to face her bed. She told herself it was a precaution, a way to prove that the creaks and groans of the old building were just that, the settling of an aging structure. For the first few nights, the footage revealed nothing out of the ordinary. She watched herself toss and turn, the grainy black and white video offering a mundane, almost boring glimpse into her restless sleep. The brief sense of relief was intoxicating. Perhaps it was all in her head, a product of stress and the city's inherent loneliness. But on the fourth night, her fragile peace was shattered. As she fast-forwarded through the hours of footage, her finger hovering over the mouse, she stopped, rewound, played it again in slow motion. Her blood ran cold. There, standing motionless beside her bed, was a figure. It was impossibly tall and slender, a column of pure, deep shadow that seemed to drink the low light from the room. It had no discernible features, just a humanoid outline against the pale backdrop of her wall. It stood there for hours, a silent, unmoving sentinel, watching her as she slept, completely unaware of the horrifying proximity of the unknown. Her breath hitched in her throat, a strangled gasp escaping her lips. The thing wasn't in her imagination. It was real. It was in her room. Panic gave way to a frantic search for answers. The city's underbelly, a world of hushed whispers and forgotten folklore, led her to a name, Mr. Donovan. He was a paranormal investigator, a man who had dedicated his life to the things that lurked in the shadows, spoken of only in terrified whispers. Clara found him in a dusty, cluttered office above an old bookshop, the air thick with the scent of aging paper and something else, something acrid and strange, like burnt ozone. Donovan was an older man, his face a roadmap of countless sleepless nights, his eyes holding a weariness that spoke of seeing too much. He listened patiently as Clara, her voice trembling, recounted her story and showed him the chilling footage on her phone. He didn't flinch, didn't show a flicker of surprise. Instead, he leaned back in his creaking leather chair, his expression grim. "You've been marked," he said, his voice a low, gravelly rumble. He explained that the entity in her room was known by many names, but he called it the Night Stalker. It was a restless, malevolent spirit, an ethereal predator drawn to those who inadvertently meet its gaze. "It has no physical form in the conventional sense," Donovan continued, "but it has eyes, glowing red eyes. And once you have seen them, it will never stop hunting you. It feeds on the fear of its victims, savoring their terror before it claims them." A desperate, primal fear seized Clara. The investigator's words echoed the deepest dread she had ever known. The creature wasn't just watching, it was waiting. Donovan's advice was simple, yet seemed impossible. Do not sleep. It can only fully manifest an attack when you are in a state of deep sleep, when your consciousness is adrift, he warned. Stay awake and you might survive the night, but it will test you. It will wear you down. Armed with this sliver of hope, Clara returned to her apartment, transforming it into a fortress against slumber. She brewed pot after pot of black coffee, the bitter liquid scalding her throat. She paced the floors of her small living room, her footsteps a frantic rhythm against the hardwood. She turned the television on, the volume blaring, filling the space with meaningless noise. The hours crawled by with agonizing slowness. Every shadow seemed to lengthen and twist, every creak of the building sending a fresh jolt of terror through her. As the clock on the wall ticked past 11, a profound, unnatural exhaustion began to settle over her. It was a heavy, suffocating blanket, far more potent than any normal fatigue. Her eyelids felt like lead weights, her thoughts turning to a sluggish, syrupy crawl. She fought it, splashing cold water on her face, pinching her own skin, but the pull of unconsciousness was an inexorable tide. Just as the clock struck midnight, a sudden, complete silence fell over the apartment. The television flickered and died. The hum of the refrigerator ceased. In the suffocating quiet, a new, deeper darkness pooled in the corner of her bedroom doorway. Slowly, silently, the tall, shadowy figure of the Night Stalker emerged, its form coalescing from the gloom. It glided into the room, its movement unnaturally smooth, and as it drew closer, 2 points of malevolent crimson light ignited within its featureless head. Its glowing red eyes fixed on hers, and in their fiery depths, Clara saw an eternity of silent screaming. Her own scream died in her throat as the creature reached for her, its shadowy tendrils extending, the world around her dissolving into an abyss of red and black. The next morning, the sun, weak and pale, finally broke through the city's oppressive cloud cover, casting long, searching fingers of light into Clara's silent apartment. But Clara was gone. The police found her front door unlocked, the coffee pot cold, a half-empty mug on the table. There was no sign of a struggle, no evidence of a break-in. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air, erased from existence. The only thing out of place was a message, freshly and crudely carved into the plaster of her bedroom wall, the letters jagged and deep, as if scratched by something not quite human. The message was short, a chilling promise left behind for whoever might find it. I'm still watching. The investigating officers, unnerved and without a single lead, packed up the security camera as evidence. Later, in the sterile environment of the forensics lab, a technician reviewed the final moments of the camera's footage. The recording showed the static-filled chaos of the creature's appearance, the terror on Clara's face, and then something else. In the final, corrupted frames, the video feed cleared for a single, horrifying second. It showed Clara, standing exactly where the creature had been. Her face was pale and emotionless, her body rigid. And where her eyes should have been, there were now 2 glowing, crimson embers burning with a cold, predatory light. A new Night Stalker had been born, its silent vigil now destined to haunt the suffocating darkness of the city's endless night.